It's time for Pawn of the Dead.
You are having a good year.
You are.
So let's get this going, you know? All right.
Up the whole time.
All right. Welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me are two sleazy girls.
Hey,
Tasha.
That's nice.
That is super
Thanks
nice.
a lot.
You're very welcome.
What does that say about you? You're married to me.
Oh, I'm just that cowboy hat wearing, you know, like we're just gonna make people's eyes pop out of their skulls.
Last week we decided that Nick was trailer trash and now we're sleazy. So it's a whole pack of awesome.
It fits, I guess.
So we have Stephanie and we have Tasha.
Hi guys.
Right.
The sleazy ladies. Wow.
The trio of sleaze this week.
Yeah. I guess it fits well with this movie, so that's
absolutely.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for this week's episode, we are covering Ty West 2022 horror film X. Going into this film, did you girls have any ideas about it or preconceived notions or anything like that?
Go for it, Tasha.
It was nothing like I expected it to be.
How so?
I knew that it was going to be like what we had talked about. There was like a porn being made, but the location was unexpected, and kind of just the way things transpired was a nice unexpected thing to it.
Good.
So yeah, I didn't know too much going into it. I knew it was going to be like a slasher, but from that point on, I was pleasantly surprised.
Cool. Did you know that this is the first of a trilogy?
I did because you said it.
Okay.
You told us last week that it was.
Okay. Steph, what was your...
Well, I had already seen the film, obviously. We had seen it once. This was my recommendation because I wanted to see it again to see if I felt like excited about it again, because some of these movies we watch don't have rewatchability. Like sometimes it's kind of like, oh, it's good, one and done, maybe 10 years down the road because you forget everything about it, you watch it again. But other than that, I was like, okay, let's go into this with an open mind. Hopefully I don't hate it this time. Like hopefully it's still got good rewatchability, and it's an A24 film, which I'm always excited about watching because I always call them artsy. They're just very uniquely created based on their filming and stuff. So I was excited to watch that again. And it realistically, like, I was surprised that it had as much rewatchability as it does. So that was good. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. And it was, I picked up on some things I didn't pick up on before. So that was something too. So
I would have liked not knowing it was part of a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Because then you kind of have an idea of like what the ending might be. So,
well, the thing is the second movie is actually a prequel to this, where you follow Pearl back in the 20s, and then the third part of it comes out this summer. Hopefully, it's supposed to come out this year. They haven't given a date, but I'm hoping it's like the summer, and it's called Maxine, which follows the lead from X in the 80s. So you're getting like all of these different times. And I own Pearl. I just have not watched it yet because I bought it right before the podcast had started. And it was one of those things of like, Steph and I had already seen X. And it was like, you know what? She mentioned wanting to do X and everything. I was like, I'm just going to hold on to this. And even like Steph was like, yeah, let's do that and everything. So coming up like in a few months, we're going to do Pearl. Hopefully like around the time that Maxine comes out. So it's kind of like a build up for that and everything. But my history or whatever with this film was I know who Ty West is. I'm a big Ty West fan. He did some films like in the late aughts. He did like House of the Devil. He did Cabin Fever 2 and The Innkeepers. He had like a little segment on the first VHS compilation or anthology movie and stuff like that. So like I was very familiar with him. I really like House of the Devil and stuff like that. So I'd heard like the premise of this, and I'd also, before even seeing it, like they flat out were like, and this is the beginning of a trilogy. So I was like, oh, okay, right on, because the first two movies were made back to back during the pandemic and stuff like that. In New Zealand. So this film's set in Texas. It's shot in New Zealand.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, but so they just banged them out back to back, and they actually came out the same year. They both came out in 2022. So one came out in the, like, let's say the first half. The other one came out in the second half, and it was just like, holy shit, you never see that happen where you're getting two movies in the same thing. They're just like busting it out. So like now I'm just like, I know the second one's out. I just haven't seen it because holding off to watch it for the podcast. But then I'm also like chomping at the bit for this third one because those first two came out 2022. It's 2024 now. We've had like almost 2 years of just like waiting for like the conclusion of this series. So for me, that's really exciting. And
I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about Maxine, and I think the writer's strike had something to do with it not being released last year. So it was supposed to come out last year.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but
so what's the point of it being filmed in New Zealand and like it being set in Texas? Like cost-wise, that seems...
Cost-wise, it was cheaper to do it in New Zealand, but also... What? Yeah, it's cheaper. Like
well, Lord of the Rings was filmed in New Zealand just for cost effectiveness. Well, I think that like between that and Canada is usually the two go-tos because the cost of filming in those places, unless you have a soundstage like that's specific to the movie in like Hollywood or whatever, that's what they do.
They definitely give like more like leniency on charge because they want the industry to come to them to spend money there, so they're not going to charge as much to get them there. So yeah, like it also, like this was shot during COVID and everything. New Zealand and like Australia and stuff were one of the first places to like lock down on all that stuff, and like they got that shit under wraps quick, unlike here in the States where people are losing their minds over getting a cheeseburger and coughing in people's faces and spreading it like fucking rampant. So
they were still able to work over there on top of like Lord of the Rings. I can understand because like the scenery is like fantastical and gorgeous. But when you're thinking of just like a farm in Texas, I wouldn't have thought that the cost effectiveness would have been there. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. So, like it's one of those, like Steph kind of alluded to, like it's A24, which A24 is not like they don't make the movies. Like that's not their job. Their job is movies get made. And then they go out, find movies that they themselves want to put out into the ether. So they have cultivated this very artistically driven, like they're not the ones they're not like a production house.
Oh, I always thought they were a production company.
No, so like Ty West, Ari Aster, Edgar, what's his name? Never mind. He's another great
guy.
One. Yeah, and people are going to be fucking like all over the gas about it because it's like pull his card. He's not a real horror fan. But like they just make films that the people at A24 are like, yes, this is kind of like what we're going for. We're not going to make the easy, like the cookie cutter horror film, because even like X is definitely like it plays with the trope of a slasher, but it turns it changes it. So like I'm not a slasher fan by any sense of the meaning. I grew up watching them and everything, but they're so cookie cutter that I don't want to spend an hour and a half watching that when I can just watch a supercut compilation online of just all the kills, and it's like, oh, okay.
Oh Jesus.
Because the story doesn't matter in those movies. It's like some of them are great because of how over the top cheesy they are at points and stuff. Like Jason Goes to Manhattan and shit like that. Like
I've never heard of that one.
Oh,
Jason Goes to Manhattan.
I've got all the Friday the 13th back here and big old Blu-ray box set. I can't remember what it was, like Amazon Prime Day or whatever. They had the Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set and the Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray box set, like 50% off. So I was like, I got to fill out the collection. So I own all those now.
It's a good deal.
I couldn't not do that.
But it was on sale.
Yeah, okay. and it's one of those things that, like, maybe this Halloween or something, I'll be like, hey, Wes, you just want to watch some, like, ridiculousness? Yeah, here we go. So gotta get them incorporated into the history there a little bit. But, yeah, so this movie came out in 2022. So
it's new.
Very new. what do you think its budget was? Granted, we know that it went to New Zealand to pretend to be in Texas. But we also know that that's cheaper than shooting in Texas, or even not necessarily even cheaper, but legal to do it, because it was during COVID and everything.
Oh, gotcha.
So everything was shutting down. What do you think the budget for this movie was?
Well, it has some pretty decent sized actors in this too. Like, let's talk about that, because we got like Jenna Ortega in this movie. We've got the girl from Pitch Perfect. We've got the guy from Virgin River. I don't know their actress's name. I'm not looking at them right now. But like, and then Nick and I were just talking. There's some rapper that's in this. The guy,
Kid Cudi.
Yeah. So like, this movie it's not just like no face people. Like, they've been in stuff before, and some of the stuff they've been in, you would not expect them, especially the Pitch Perfect girl, to be in this movie and doing what she does, which I find so refreshing, because it's like they're expanding their universes of acting skills instead of just staying typecasted for whatever reason. So as of budget, I'm gonna go with, because it's an A24 film, and knowing like the way that it looks, and it was filmed in New Zealand, I'm gonna go 15 million.
Okay, how about you, Tasha?
Let's say 21 million.
I would love to see what Ty West can do with your guys' budgets, because
I'm wondering if it's really low.
Because this movie was made for $1 million.
Oh my God. Yeah. And there's a lot of practical effects in this. So like, yeah, that's
from start to finish, production and everything.
Yep.
That's
and
insane.
$1 million.
That's insane.
Wow.
Well, and the thing I like about that, if you think about it, so this movie, and this doesn't really give anything away before the spoilers, is like they're filming porn, right? So you know that going in, and they're doing this in on a budget way of getting into the whatever. So it's cool that he also made a film this good for that price, because that's what they're kind of trying to do, is upscale the porn industry.
Yeah, like there's even like quotes of like where the director of it and stuff is like, no, I'm trying to make it like fancy like those French films and give it a little bit of the avant-garde.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so real quick before we get into what it ended up making, I'm going to touch on what you mentioned, Steph, about Brittany Snow, the girl that played in Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
In an interview, Brittany Snow talked about filming the nude scenes, and she said, I think there was a lot of confidence in terms of our characters, and a part of the nudity came from that confidence that our characters exuded. It almost felt necessary, because not only were they filming a porn, but our characters would have been so comfortable with that. Snow said the film was an exercise in me feeling confident about my body, and I was pretty proud of myself.
Well, she's like the most confident out of all the women in the movie, and she owns her shit, and like it's in a way that it's like she doesn't back down. She's just very like in her own, and I appreciated that about her character. So yeah, she definitely exuded what she was trying to achieve.
Right, like she's unapologetically herself as the character herself in this, especially when she was like, yeah, I'm acting, just watch what I can do. Like, it's all just a show, and she knows she's good at it.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's a specific scene where it's like, oh, don't be patting yourself on the back. But on its $1 million budget in 2022, what do you think it made in theaters? It's a lot. Gross worldwide.
Which is shocking that it came out in theaters, knowing that it was like, so this had to have come out after everything was locked down then.
Well, 2022. So like the
oh wait, never mind. It was made. Time doesn't exist when it comes
to normal. Yeah, 2020 to 2022 is a fever dream that I would like to forget.
Thanks. That's when we met. I love you.
Not that. I'm talking about like my work life, how fucking crazy that was. Because not to go into a lot of stuff, I work in manufacturing, and we make stuff that doesn't actually matter, but the corporation that I work for was like, no, it really does matter. So they petitioned the government saying that we were essential, and we got fucked so hard. So yay, corporate America. But yeah, 2022, what do you think the budget was? Or not the budget, the
budget.
box office.
Okay. I'm gonna say it probably made like 80 mil. I'm gonna guess because it's an A24 film, was in the theater. I'm gonna aim high.
I would like to say something real quick about like what you think right there, where you're like, it's an A24 film.
Not a lot of people think that way.
Yeah,
I know. I hold value there.
Yes.
So I am going to over exude that because I have faith in their movies because I haven't seen a movie of theirs I didn't like. Our first date movie was a fucking A24 film. We went and saw The Green Knight. So we're very much A24 people. And that was actually my first A24 film was The Green Knight. And then that's just kind of opened my world into this whole new like artsy, interesting, very deep, emotive relationship with what A24 like backs in the movies they have. So
you are welcome.
That's interesting. My first date with Drew was to go see Candyman, so we both share that like horror movie date weekend.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, what do you guys think? And it's Megan. You got 80 mil. All right. What do you got?
I'm gonna say 52 million.
Oh God, he would love to have made that too.
Really?
So A24 doesn't get in every theater. It's
right.
So
because it's like, an art film, so it's like
Well, they just
but worldwide, I would still think that it would.
They made 15.1. So they made a lot of money on their investment.
Yeah.
Big, yeah.
So A24 has like a big contract. For us, it's actually pretty good because nearby, like in the city near us and everything, there's an AMC and they have a contract with AMC. So
that's why we get their films.
That's why we get their films near us and everything. Okay. So they aren't in every place. And they also don't get long runs. Like a lot of A24 films come in for a weekend and are out because it costs a lot of money to get your movies on a lot of screens for long weekends, like longer weeks and stuff like that. Like not everybody has that Disney money or that Paramount money and stuff like that. So like A24 is unapologetically like indie, like they're the biggest indie darlings. So like just I think it was last year, not this year, last year, I think it was. They ended up winning Film of the Year and it wasn't a horror film, but they're the ones.
The Whale?
No, they did. Maybe it was the year prior, but they did Everything, Everywhere,
All at Once.
Oh, I didn't realize they were involved in that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But did they?
Still need to watch that.
Did they not do The Whale? I thought they did The Whale.
They might have put out The Whale. I know that's the only Darren Aronofsky film I haven't seen yet. That might have been an A24 film. I don't know if that won Film of the Year, but I know Brendan Fraser won Actor of the Year for it.
Yeah. You know, it got quite a bit of accolades.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I could have sworn I saw that it was one of them, but I could be completely off.
Well, you can look that up.
I am. Yep. You keep going.
So X grossed 11.8 million in the United States and Canada and 3.3 million in other territories for a worldwide of 15.1, making it a box office success against its mere $1 million budget. It's $100 million budget.
It's a meager budget.
coming from fucking Disney, the new Ty West horror film. Oh, I'd pay good money to see that.
That'd be interesting.
It did. A24's film is The Whale. They did make that.
But did it win Film of the Year? Because I don't.
It won Winners Critics' Choice Awards, Best Actor for Brendan Fraser. It had a lot of nominees and stuff, but I don't think it won Best Picture that I can see. So.
Right on. So when it came out, the weekend it came out, where I thought I had the weekend out here. It was, I think I cut it out on accident. Anyway, it ended up being fourth for its opening weekend. Against, granted, it had some like really heavy hitters coming out the same weekend, so it's nice that it did as well as it did. But like, so it got fourth. The Batman came out
with Robert Pattinson. Okay,
yeah, that came out the same weekend.
We saw that probably that weekend.
Yep. The anime movie for the series Jujutsu Kaisen came out, which is super huge. It's like at the time of it, it's like the shonen anime. The Uncharted movie came out the week prior.
With Mark Wahlberg and
the big IP movie.
Tom Holland or whatever.
Yeah. Actually, the Batman came out the week prior. It was still just making bank. And then
That was a really good movie, so that
and
makes
then
sense.
Dog. I don't know what Dog is, but Dog came out the week prior, and it was still making good money. Also, this was the same time that like Spider-Man: No Way Home was coming out. Death on the Nile, Sing 2.
So big movies.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff out there that was like getting some traction and everything. And for it to actually kind of splash its opening weekend and everything, getting that top 4, especially for horror, is always really good because 2022 is actually one of the best years in horror that I can think of in a long time, because we had such a long stretch in like those late 90s, early 2000s, where they're just making some of the worst garbage, like fucking like.
Don't say it! Don't you fucking say it! No, shush! No, shut your mouth! No, that movie is not garbage. That movie is good. Stop it!
But like, so in all of that, when it comes to its gross for the year, it is perfectly seated at 10 because X is the Roman numeral for 10.
Okay.
But so it was 10th out of the horror films that came out in theaters. There is one that I think is kind of cheap in a way because it was a re-release of a film that came out in the 70s, but I'll read them down, or I'll read them up. So X was 10.
Okay.
Then Jaws got re-released.
That doesn't
theaters.
count.
I know.
Okay.
But it beat it out.
All right.
Pray for the Devil, which I believe is a Conjuring film.
Okay.
The Invitation was number 7.
That's good.
The Invitation. Is that the vampire one?
Yeah.
I've seen that one, I think.
I get those mixed up because there's that one and then there's one with Jason Bateman.
No, it's
that I think is called.
The Invitation's the one where the girl gets like brought to.
I'm thinking of The Gift. We're good.
Okay.
Barbarian. Came out number 6. Halloween Ends. Was number 5. The Scream. I believe that's the 5th one. Came out that year. The Black Phone was number 3. Smile was number 2. And Nope was number 1.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So Jenna Ortega was in 2 movies that year. 2 highly grossing horror movies.
X has like literally like the 2020s duo of Scream Queens. You have Mia Goth, who plays Maxine. She's been in the Ty West trilogy, and then she's also in Infinity Pool, and she's been in some other stuff, but like she's definitely like cementing her legacy as being a Scream Queen. Same with Jenna Ortega being in X, being in Scream 5 and 6. She's also
she's Wednesday Addams. Yeah.
Yep. So like she's definitely working her way into that, if not already getting her seat at the table.
Well, they were talking when we were watching like the extras in this for like the end of the movie, how one of the guys or one of the actors in the movie was so like excited to be working with Jenna Ortega because she was already at that time, apparently, according to them, like a horror legend or whatever, because she'd done a lot of horror movies up until this point. So she was already well versed in the horror realm when they made X.
Yeah, that was Kid Cudi was the one that was,
was he?
I'm super. He was so giddy. He's like, I fucking love horror films, and this is gonna be my first one and everything.
Yeah, he was such a lovable character in the show, and then when you see him in the interviews, you just love him more.
Yeah. So got a couple. So I've got a couple reviews just from like the world, like as it came out and stuff like that. No spoilers, not like our 1s and 10s and stuff like that, but just kind of giving like what the world was kind of thinking of this film a little bit. So like Rotten Tomatoes says like it's a fresh spin on the classic slasher formula. X marks the spot where Ty West gets resoundingly back to his horror roots.
Okay.
So like Rotten Tomatoes definitely like this. I mean, like it's a score aggregator. I don't really follow their shit or anything, but I thought that was kind of a positive thing. And then A.O. Scott, in a review of the film for the New York Times, wrote that X isn't shy about appealing to voyeurism.
True.
There's nothing coy or arty about the bloodletting. West, unlike his pornographers, has things to say as well as bodies to show. Most of all, he has an aesthetic that is all about terror or that isn't all about terror or titillation. X is full of dreamy, haunting overhead shots and moments of surprising tenderness.
True.
Yes.
The overarching theme of this movie, which we'll get into after spoiler territory, makes this movie just absolutely beautiful in my mind because of what it talks about and what it encompasses. So yeah, it's not just a slasher film or to show titties on screen. It's got a whole overlay of meaning.
I mean,
and back to those shots about those overhead shots, they are absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
There are quite a few of them that like it's a character in and of itself with some of the
without
the camera.
Without any spoilers, the pond shot, overhead pond shot is fucking fantastic.
It is.
Yeah, the pond shot and the shower shot later on.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
But it says like the girls are like it's not all about titties and stuff like that, but guess what? You get titties, you get ass, you get basically full-on porn scenes, you get silhouetted dicks in doorways. I mean, what more do you need?
Yeah. You get full-on dick later on too.
Before we start throwing up that spoiler warning and everything, this is a movie club. So if you're new to Pod of the Dead, hello, welcome. You picked quite an episode to choose.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. If you haven't seen X by Ty West, I highly suggest you go check it out. As of this episode dropping, I believe it's going to be able to watch on Netflix. So we kind of timed it perfectly on accident.
Yeah.
It's also on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
There you go. And that's something that we're definitely going to keep in consideration for some movies coming up, is trying to make them a little more accessible and stuff like that when it comes to streaming. Now, sometimes, there might be one that I really, really want to get on here that you might have to rent, but we're going to try and mitigate that down to like maybe like once a month or even less. So trying to make it a little more user friendly or listener friendly, and try to keep you guys in our minds when we're doing that.
Yes.
But at the end of the episode, we give out our homework for the movie that we'll be covering next week. So we don't want to spoil that surprise until the end of the episode. So you can either stick around and listen to us wax poetically about X, or how much we fucking hated it, or that Ty West is going to get a heated letter from the MPAA about there's too many dicks in your movie. But if you haven't seen it, come back at the last 5-10 minutes. That's where it should be safe. It should be safe to the tread at that point. But without any further ado, spoiler warning has been lifted, or has been posted rather. Spoilers beyond this point. We are going to do our listener. Oh wait, hold on. Don't leave yet. Sorry. Hold on. We do have a listener question.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. I do have it here. And we've also got another thing that I'd like to touch on before we throw that out.
Okay.
So we do have a listener question. Let me bring it up real quick here. Billing time. All right, listener question. So here we go. Brian asks, if you could take one prop from the movies you've reviewed so far, what would it be, and why is it the moose head from Evil Dead 2? You girls have an answer for this question? I do.
Prop from a movie? Well, yours is probably going to be from The Thing. I mean, that's kind of...
Yeah, mine's the spider head from The Thing.
Yeah,
I just want that in the house,
I know.
Right by the front door, just like put a little top hat on between his like a little eye stalks. Like, welcome to the house.
That's super friendly.
Oh man.
The hand from Evil Dead 2.
Ooh, nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, the hand. Yes. I have a toss up. The impaled head from Reanimator.
Oh, nice.
Would be a cool centerpiece.
Yeah.
or the mirror from Oculus.
That's the one that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
I thought there was like no brainer. Like that fucking mirror. I just need that.
The mirror without all of the spirits inside.
No. So the spirits come with it.
Spirits to the side. Just
I would,
the mirror.
as an honorable mention, I would also like the prop of the suspension of belief of sound works in the movie Hush.
Oh my god.
Nice.
And then what else is there that we've really watched? Like, there's got to be something from The Void that would be really cool to have too.
Oh yeah,
like that's all creature feature, and like
I would like one of those pseudo
cloaks.
One of those pseudo KKK cloaks, or fucking
Just put it like a suit of armor, but it's just like that cloak in a corner
with like the triangle mask. Just the prosthetics of the face of the doctor. But like I don't know, man. There's like so many good. The Necronomicon from Evil Dead 2.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Have on a bookshelf. Yeah.
I would have that open on an altar for everyone to see.
Just right in the living room.
Yeah, like there's so
next
many.
to the fireplace.
There's so many good props, and I don't even have like our list of movies.
Right.
Is the house from Crimson Peak a prop? Can I have that?
Can we all have that and we can share it?
Like there's
I want that like complete with the elevator.
Yeah.
The old elevator in my house.
Hold on. I know what you girls want as the prop. You girls just want Tom Hiddleston.
I want Tom Hiddleston.
Of course. Duh.
You sleazy bitches.
Just keep him as an object in my house.
It fits for our movie today, so it's okay. We can be sleazy and love Tom, so it's okay.
Oh, that's right. It's the only way to love Loki. It's nice and sleazy.
Yes.
But also before we get into all that jazz, is there anything that you girls happened upon this week that you kind of want to throw out there to the public? Maybe it just came out. Maybe it's a new interest to you. Not interest, but like maybe it's something that just like caught your attention. You kind of want to throw out there like, hey, I checked this shit out. Maybe you'd like it as well.
Go for it, Tasha. You got anything?
I do, and it fits. I'm in the middle, almost done with a book called Final Girls. It's not new. I think it came out a couple years ago, but it's new to me. It follows like these three women who had all three of them had been involved in like group massacres years apart from each other. They're not a part of the same massacre, but they've all kind of found each other, and like the media has dubbed them the Final Girls. And now where I am in the book, like stuff is starting to unfold, mystery is starting to come up. One of the girls can't remember anything from that night, so it's kind of like reliving what was called Pine Cottage was her like situation. So it kind of goes back and forth between her modern day and her back 10 years prior. So I'm finishing that up. I'm hoping to get it done this weekend. So that is definitely, if you're into horror suspense books, that's definitely a good one to check out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got two things. I just started watching Reacher, which is on Prime, and I started watching that last night. That's been going out because the season 2 just released not too long ago, and that's actually really good. So if you like big muscle-bound guys that have like military backgrounds and have a decent plot, it's pretty good. I can't complain. And then on the same area as Tasha here, I started a book club and locally, and I'm reading Butcher and Blackbird, which is about two serial killers falling in love. So I'm about a third of the way in, and I started it last night, and it's one of those like book talk books that everybody's just like raving about, and it's very popular right now, and I believe it's an indie book, which is kind of amazing that it's as popular as it is as an indie book, and it's different, but we'll see where it goes. We'll find out.
Cool.
So.
I've got three things, and I'll make them real short and sweet. So first off, the band Vitriol put out an album this week of recording. It's available on all streaming services and stuff. It's called Suffer and Become. It's really technical, like death metal with like black metal kind of tinges to it and stuff. Super mean, aggressive album. If you like lifting weights and stuff, or you just need to fucking like really get amped, this album is there for you. It's really good. And then also some friends of mine put out their first full-length album. The band's name is Dissected, and their album is called Golden Hues of Decay, and it's a fucking banger. It's really fucking good. These guys, not signed yet, but definitely after this came out, they've gotten some notoriety from like some really decent publications and stuff like that. And I foresee off of this, them actually taking that next step. It's also available on all streaming platforms and stuff. Super, super good. The top tier track, if you want something like an introduction to it, check out the song Faustian Bargain. So fucking good. And then the third thing that I've been putting off for a long fucking time, I'm not 100% sure why, but a movie that came out in 2015 from Turkey, I watched. It's called Baskin. The long and short of it is it's a group of cops that go on a call, and they accidentally like go through, I think they refer to it as a trapdoor to hell. And it is pure just nightmare fuel. I believe one of the taglines or some critic or whatever said, it's a mix of Silent Hill meets Hellraiser, and it's just coated in blood. And it's just blood and mud and very good special effects. It's definitely one that you got to sit with for a little bit, because I was about like 20 minutes in, I was like, I don't know. I think this movie's not that great. And then halfway through it, I was just like, holy shit. And then the way it ends gave it an extra half point in my book. Like, it was just like, holy shit, the last minute made the fucking film. But yeah, Baskin. You can actually, I watched it on Shudder. It might be available at other places. So that's what I was introduced to this week. And hopefully something that the girls said as well can get your... Catch your fancy as well.
Yes, Tasha's and yours. Most of our listeners are going to be like, I don't want to read like weird.
I got a lot of friends
porn. Yeah, that's true.
Actually,
are there any tentacles in your book you're reading stuff?
No, I mean, but there's maggots, and there's that lady that takes out eyeballs and then strings people up
it's right there.
Fishing wire. So
I mean, serial killers need love too, man.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yep.
And with that, we will. Spoilers. We are going into X.
So if you want to be a part of our club, you can find us at facebook.com/podofthedead or else on Instagram at pod_of_the_dead or on TikTok at podofthedead. If you want to email us any questions, any complaints, or movie recommendations, you can email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com.
So, spoilers are up. Let's hear those reviews.
Sweet reviews.
Give me that 10 out of 10 review.
X is a movie my wife and I caught in theaters tonight. The storyline follows a production crew who rents an old house from a very old couple in the middle of nowhere in Texas to film a porn. As they make an outstanding porn, hoping to change the industry forever, they get some visitors looking to fulfill their own fantasies. This movie is directed by Ty West of The House of the Devil and stars Mia Goth from Suspiria, Jenna Ortega from Scream, Brittany Snow from Pitch Perfect, Kid Cudi, Martin Henderson of The Ring, and Owen Campbell of My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. I love everything about this movie. How can you not like a slasher porno movie? The storyline is excellent and unfolds perfectly. There is a rare, unique slasher film that horror fans have been clamoring for. I really liked the characters, the twists and turns, and the full circle ending. The cast was perfectly selected. The cinematography and camera angles are out of this world.
Very much so.
As is the use of lighting, sound, and the soundtrack. The kill scenes, gore, and blood splatter are on point. The jump scares are perfectly executed. Yes, they are. And very well done with no cheese. Nick, I wish you would have seen Drew and I watching this in the barn scene.
You're talking about the nail and the pitchfork.
The nail.
'Cause the way we're already in spoiler territory.
Yeah.
The way they set that up just builds so much tension on you.
It does.
Oh man, just so much screaming on the couch.
Please don't do it. Please don't do it.
It's just and like barreling into each other and not wanting to look. And it's, oh man, it was something. And that's what I mean. Okay, I'm going to digress for a second.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by a jump scare. Not necessarily like somebody popping out of a doorway. It's that there were a couple in there that were just done so quickly and so effortlessly that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I mean when I say jump scare.
Gotcha.
So this movie gives horror fans everything they want in a horror film. It could watch it 100 times. I will score this a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So like what you're talking about and everything, like what it does, I see it doesn't click in my brain that it's jump scares and stuff. It definitely is one of those things that like there are so many scenes in this movie that like sit and linger in this tension. So
Yes.
Not going to go into it because we will in a bit, but yeah, the nail scene, the alligator scene with the overhead shot. Having never seen this movie, I remember the first time I saw it and I was just like, oh fuck, what the fuck? And then but anyway, 10 out of 10. I'm not gonna give it a 10 out of 10, but like, you know what, it's fucking great.
But I agree with everything they said.
Yes.
They did. Yeah, that's true. All right.
Let's hear that. Let's hear these lies, these despicable lies.
There's
of
no
a
way
1 out of
I'm
10.
going to agree with this. So anyway, fails at every level.
Hold up.
Start strong.
Yeah.
They forgot to put film in the camera.
Yeah. After reading the plot, I expected to see a generic slasher movie. However, what I got was a boring, artsy wannabe flick, which takes itself way too seriously and ends up being devoid of soul or any kind of entertainment.
Devoid of soul?
And I don't like it when people
there's so
say
much
that.
pathos in this film.
And the fact that it's like, what did you say? Like they're
Wanna be
trying too
artsy?
hard or taking themselves too seriously. It's a movie. It's these people's profession to make good movies. So of course they're going to take it seriously.
Okay, this is so okay. Anyway, after 1 hour of they were very precise. 1 hour of extremely slow and tedious buildup, you get presented with the most pathetic horror movie villains I have ever seen in my entire life. Screenwriter must have a serious phobia of frail old people because that's the only way you'll find any kind of thrills in this movie. False.
I will say
Not true.
that's another thing that makes a good scary movie is creepy old people in a creepy ass farm.
naked old lady running down the that is, I laugh every time when that happens when she like jets out of the room. Naked old lady just reverse screen. Grandma, get back here.
With a pretentious facade, one might think that such a movie would at least be devoid of cliches, but they are all there. Loud sound, jump scares, extremely dumb victims, completely unrealistic kills, which you may see coming a mile away, and one of the most pathetic endings in this slasher movie ever.
What?
Just go rewatch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Because it's set in Texas.
It's set in Texas and it's in the 70s. That's literally it.
That's it.
And they were all driving in a vehicle at the beginning.
Yeah. It was a plowing service though, van, which I found fucking hilarious.
So just go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Both originals and remakes are a million times more entertaining than this boring mess.
I imagine that the person that reviewed this literally, like I was saying earlier, literally just wanted a supercut of kills. And that's it. And
they didn't want plot.
Since it had anything more than that, it was like, it's trying too hard. It's this, it's that. It's like, you understand that, like, see, that's the problem. So many people like that I don't want to say like aren't in the know, but like so many people that think horror films are one way. If it doesn't go that way, it's garbage. It's fucking bullshit. I can't believe that this got made or whatever. And it's like, why would you want to make something to just ape something else? Like, the fact that they're like they're so pretentious. They're trying to be artistic. It's like, it's a fucking art medium. Like making movies. That's where like I always get like kind of upset and shitty about like Disney and stuff. Is like, because they're not making art. They're making a product. they're making something like it's not meant to be appreciated, it's meant to be consumed.
Well, that's the difference.
It's meant to be appreciated by a certain type of people, which is the general public.
Correct.
And then you have things like this or any A24 movie that it takes a certain type of person to appreciate it.
Well, that's what I look at, and we were just talking about this last night, that kind of works in the same realm, is that you have your big budget popcorn movies, is what we call them, which is what typical slasher movies are on the most part. And then this movie is not a typical slasher movie where it's a popcorn movie. And like, it's just the same way as like, if you're going to go read a book that's written by somebody who's traditionally published and they pump out the same book, the same rhetoric over and over again, because that's what the mass public wants. But then you go to indie books and they're going to have a little bit more unique storylines a lot of times because it's not for the consumable public as much. So it's not a product as much as it is a passion. And I'm not saying that people who write or make movies that are really popular that's not passionate about them, but there's a demographic that they're trying to reach, which is broad scoped versus an A24 film, which is what Tasha said. It's not like that. You're looking at something on a smaller scale for a deeper meaning, I think. And I think that's what you're getting with this movie. You're not getting your popcorn movie. You're getting a deeper meaning behind it. And if that's what you want, is just to pop popcorn in your mouth and watch a movie and watch a bunch of people die, like in Halloween's and all those, then you're definitely not getting that in this movie.
And it's interesting because at the beginning it said I was expecting a generic slasher movie. So it seems like right there, based on what that review said, that's what they were going in looking for.
Yeah.
So that, like Nick said, everything else is just pretentious. I would also like to know like what their definition of pretension is. Like, that's the interesting part when we see, it's always with these movies, they're pretentious. They were boring. They were trying too hard. But
well, like it's crazy. Like they said something about like stupid characters and stuff like that. And it's like I do not see that at all. All of these characters have a reason for being here, not just like to make a porn, but like each character's motives, and backstories and everything are very fleshed out to the point where like, okay, so like your prototypical slasher. And like when you go to like Friday the 13th and stuff like that, the way it kind of works is like you kind of make some shitty characters and stuff and you root for Jason to fucking knock off their heads and stuff. This character actually makes you sad or this movie makes you actually kind of sad because you connect with these characters and stuff through things. You feel bad for the director when Jenna Ortega decides that she wants to be in the film, even though like, you know, like it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's like she is her own person, but like in this situation, it does suck and all that. Like it does fucking make you feel for these characters. So when they do get off, you're not like, fuck yeah. It's like, oh man. Oh shit.
You're not cheering for the bad guy in the sense of the offings. You're just you actually are sad to see these characters go because you've built a relationship with them throughout the movie. And
you also feel sad for the killer in this film.
Big time.
Because Pearl, the old lady, the old naked lady running down the hallway, there's so much regret and stuff like built into this character, and like the ticking of the clock, like it's so much like a talk piece on youth is wasted on the young is kind of the whole idea of
because it's not appreciated versus when you're older and you don't have that and it's gone and now you can't function like you used to and now you appreciate it more and you wish you still had that and you took it for granted. And that's exactly what this movie encompasses, is taking your faculties essentially as a human being, your beauty, your sex drive, your all of that as like they're using it as like a titillation film in the sense because they're exacerbating, I guess, the situation, like where there are these sexy women and then there's this older woman who is, you know, reliving her history of like when she was beautiful and it's a very yin and yang between young and old in this movie. And that's what makes this movie really a beautiful movie, in my personal opinion, because it plays into that so well.
And the relationship of the husband and wife, the older couple, is so heartfelt and sad because like it literally is like, it's so weird to talk about because like at the core of the movie, you know, you've got fucking people being tied up in basements and basically fucked to death and shit like that. And like all this like crazy, like horrific stuff. But like,
is that the point of that guy?
I think
don't
so,
know.
because
I
the
think so,
entire
too.
the entire crotch is bruised up and everything. So it looked like it was either fucked to death or whatever. Like that's what it looked like to me. It does not talk about it other than Jenna Ortega's amazing scream in that scene.
Yeah.
But like it, the husband literally like husband of the year, husband of the decade.
True.
Literally will do anything for his wife, even if it means trapping people for her to have sex with and stuff, because he has gotten to an age where he feels that his heart can't withstand sex. So since he can't give it to her, he's going to find somebody that can. He's going to let her find them, and he's going to facilitate it.
Well, and he also kills people for her too, because he doesn't like it, the one guy that's like the ex-military guy, the Kid Cudi guy, Jackson, yeah, him. Like he doesn't like him because
it's the 70s and he's probably racist.
Yeah, and because he's hung like a horse in this movie, and you see it multiple times, and so like there's that like feeling like, I don't measure up, that kind of thing, and he literally blows him away legitimately, and like he willingly kills all these people for his wife, and then his wife, he doesn't do most of that, she does, but it's there. All of that is also very uniquely done in this movie, so that's what I loved about it. Like the deaths aren't just like, I'm chasing you, let's slit your throat, that's run and scream. It's not like that, not in any capacity in this movie. So it's very strategically placed.
Yeah, so like the whole idea of it being pretentious, boring, I do not understand boring at all.
No,
I think it starts off slow.
Yeah.
But for someone who doesn't usually care about plot or like character development, I thought it was done really well. Like you were still interested, like everything that was happening, you were still kind of on edge, especially when they got to the farmhouse and stuff, mainly because like the inside of the house was so grotesque. The characters were so like kind of disformed, and there's like further than just like your typical old person. Like I'm assuming that was all practical, like makeup.
Yeah, it was.
Let's talk about the fact that what's her name? Mia Goth is also Pearl.
Yes.
The whole time, Drew and I were like, that has to be a younger person with makeup. I never would have guessed it was the same person that plays Maxine. That was cool to find out. Yeah,
Maxine and Pearl. So like the whole trilogy is the Mia Goth trilogy. She plays Pearl in the prequel. She plays Pearl and Maxine in this one. And then the third one that comes out, she plays Maxine. So like, give her all the flowers.
Right, yeah.
And her fucking acting in this, like, completely separate. Like, as the old woman, you have like this empathy for her, and like she's very slow moving, and it just, you can tell there's a slightly younger person underneath there. But I also feel like that gives that same illusion of like youth and then now aging, and so like it plays into the theme of the movie. So that didn't bother me as much, because normally I would be like, well, that's a little, but that didn't bother me in this. But one of my favorite parts is like you're like Tasha said, it does open a little slow. Like you're following the storyline. So like they're going to go to this cabin or this place they're renting. You don't necessarily know what they're doing exactly, other than they're leaving to go make a porn film. And there's a whole bunch of people in this van. Let's talk about how awesome this van is. Like that was I loved that. And then you're driving down the road, and then there's this very visceral, grotesque cow scene immediately, and it's like they're pulling no punches. You're seeing the inside of this cow, and it's very like just disgusting.
I think that's a really good way to be like, we're not going to pull punches, but at the same time, it doesn't involve the people. It's just like,
it just reminds you what you're watching.
This is what we're capable of.
Yeah,
yes.
Like a warm up for what's to come.
Yeah,
I will say that part right before, like as they're traveling in the van, that did have like Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes 100%. To it. So like they definitely pull from, but at the same time, it's set in the same time in the same space.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter to horror. Like Ty West is a guy that fucking loves horror. He's made horror and stuff, and he wanted to kind of focus a camera on the late 70s of porn, of the exploitation slasher film. These are all things that came out at that time. Like,
and the way it was shot even. So what I really liked about it, was the fact that yes, this is a movie set in the 70s, but the camera work seemed also reminiscent of a movie that would be made in the 70s. Does that make sense? Like it didn't seem like a modern movie set in a different time. It felt as if we were watching a movie made during that time, that's gotta be like next level cinematography. That was incredibly done.
Yep. And then the music in this too. Like they said all that during that time frame. And that's one of my favorite parts about this whole thing.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit on the music.
Yeah.
The music in it is definitely of the time, and then it's also of like A24, like the ethereal, like high pitched, like drawn out notes and things like that. So
I've got a little bit here. If you would entertain me here.
Okay.
So all right. So the film score was composed by Tyler Bates and Chelsea Wolfe. Chelsea Wolfe. Sorry, Chelsea Wolfe she has her own solo rock career. And it's like goth metal kind of stuff. Long and short of it, if you haven't heard her, check out her albums Abyss and Hiss Spun. They're fucking great. She has a very like ethereal kind of singing style and everything. Super good. Anyway, let's see here. Bates said that the pair intended to create a vocal-centric score framed with organic synthesizers and atmospheres that evoke a sonic aesthetic of 70s art house horror films. Wolfe, who had not soundtracked a film before, primarily contributed her voice to the score and attempted to use non-singing sounds to emulate the character's emotions. Bates compared the score to that somewhere between Debbie Does Dallas, which is a porn that they reference in it, and Rosemary's Baby. So, aside from the score, by Bates and Wolfe, the film incorporates a number of songs from the 60s and 70s, including...
Which are amazing.
Yep, including In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry, Act Natural by Loretta Lynn, and Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. Additionally, one scene in the film features Jackson and Bobby Lynn performing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, with the former playing acoustic guitar and the latter providing the vocals.
Yep. And I love that because it talks about like the life changes and you get older, and like it fits the theme of like all the music fits the theme of the movie. And I was just like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. That's amazing.
I was watching it. I didn't necessarily in that moment care for the breakout of Landslide, but after like seeing the entire movie, it does fit. Because at first I was like, this just seems silly.
It fits, but like at the same time, like I think Tasha, you and our relationship with Landslide is because mom and dad are big Fleetwood Mac fans. I like Fleetwood Mac. Don't get me wrong. Rumors is a great fucking album, but the fact, like Landslide is probably one of my least favorite Fleetwood Mac songs because I've heard it so many times. I've heard the covers by Smashing Pumpkins. I've heard all this stuff. I never want to hear it again. So then when it creeps into the film, I was just like, God damn it.
Here we go again.
It's the girl, Brittany Snow playing in Pitch Perfect. It's like, so are you hot? Can you sing? Can you act? All right, you're this character.
Yeah.
And you can sing, so we need to write in a way for you to sing in this movie.
I have a feeling though that this song was very early on when Ty West was like coming up with this. He was like, all right, age, blah blah blah, because it is a very popular song and everything. So, and it's very on its fucking sleeve, like a song about this
aging.
And all this
it
stuff.
fits the movie.
It does. And then speaking of like not music exactly, I have this in my notes. The old man in this movie talking about the aging. Did you guys think that he looked a little bit like Ric Flair?
God, no.
No, but who did you say?
He looks like somebody.
Nick would appreciate it.
Yeah. Steph just
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura.
Yes,
Okay.
he looked like Jesse Ventura. Definitely.
Okay.
Nick agrees.
The
Steph
governor.
said Ric Flair.
He definitely had 70s, 80s wrestler vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave me the I don't know what it was. I don't know. There was something about him, and I was just like, he looks familiar, not in the movie.
The hairline.
Yeah.
The hairline.
Yeah.
That's what did it for me.
But yeah, so who was your favorite character in the movie?
That's hard.
One character. And then we can talk about other ones a little bit, but like give me one.
Oh man.
If you want, I can start while you guys think.
Yeah, do that.
My favorite character in the entire film, and it's not that they acted the best and stuff, but it is definitely the character that I liked the most, was Jackson. Mm-hmm. Jackson, played by Kid Cudi, was my favorite character just because he just kind of has this like no nonsense attitude, because he was like in the military, and he did like 1 or 2 tours in Vietnam and stuff like that, and like, but he's also not like cocky in the sense of like his masculinity. He's like, no, we're gonna get shit done. He's cocky in the sense of like, man, I dicked you down real good. And then Brittany Stowe's character is like, oh no, baby, it was just acting.
He's like, I was born for this line of work.
Yeah, that proceeds to have a When Harry Met Sally moment where she's like, oh.
Oh man, your mic made none of that audible.
No.
Oh, great. Thanks.
There you go. Thank
You're welcome.
I was fine with not hearing it.
Yeah.
I should have just kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, I think Jackson is a great character in this, but it's kind of hard to come to, because it's like, which character do you find the most likable, but at the same time, who do you think did the best acting? Like, hands down, best actor in this movie is the lady who plays Pearl Maxine, Mia Goth. Like, she is incredible in this movie, in terms of like likability and relatability and people that you just genuinely jive with the most. She's not that character for me, like, as in, like, I like her acting, but like I didn't relate to her or felt like I had a relationship with her as much. And I would say, like, realistically, I felt the most empathetic for the film guy because of his girlfriend and like all of that. RJ, yeah. I felt really, and then he's the first one to get offed in the movie, and his death scene is fucking chef's kiss. It's a fucking amazing scene. And so like, I don't know. I would probably agree with you on the sense that Jackson is probably the best, because you feel connected to him. Like, he's a really nice guy, and like, he's also the one banging all these chicks, but he's not doing it with like this ego. Yes, in the bedroom he's like, I got you off, baby, kind of like that vibe. But like the other guy that's in this, and I can't even remember his name, he gives off like,
he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
Oh,
and, like,
really?
I don't like him.
You get him as scumbag? Okay.
Yeah. Well, he gave me like just asshole vibes.
He gives me predatory. Wayne gives me predatory vibes, because realistically, we're talking about like how he left his wife to be with Maxine, and Maxine's very young in this, and you can tell he says he's like 42, and like she's like in her early 20s, and so like there's almost a 20-year age gap here, and like so he just feels very predatory in the sense like he has that like very standard porn directorial vibes, and because he's like sitting there watching them bang and like just like smile, this giant smile on his face. He's like seeing the dollar signs, that's like what creepy. My perception is. But
my favorite part though, like yes, he's a sleazeball and all that stuff, but my favorite part is like right after the first sex scene and stuff, when he goes out into the hallway with RJ, and he's like, man, if people see in there what I saw, feel how hard my dick is. It just grabs his hand.
He's a great actor. Like, he is a phenomenal actor. And then he walks out to the door and he's in his fucking whitey tighties, but like a weird version of them. And it's so cringy. And then he goes out into the barn, and then that's when we get the nail scene. And like, that's I cannot do eyeball scenes. Like, I couldn't watch Tom get stabbed in something, and then he gets the nail through the foot, and like that was
the eyeball scene in this movie is perfectly done, and this is why I've seen, like, it's I wouldn't say it's my favorite eyeball scene. My favorite eyeball scene is in Zombie 2, because in that film a zombie grabs through a door, which then shreds the wood of the door, and it grabs this girl by the hair and pulls her into the broken wood, and you watch it from the side as it goes into her eye. It's fucking amazing.
He has a t-shirt of that scene that he wears around in public. I'm just going to let that stand out there. So
everyone gets to see.
Yes, they do. Every fucking day.
But in this one, it takes your expectations and kind of subverts it. So like, you're watching, like, he's like looking through this eye hole, and you see like the second that the pitchfork goes through the eye hole to his eye, but it like barely makes contact before the edit cuts. We go on to like some other stuff going on, and then abruptly it edits right back to where it pulls out and you see the eyeballs get ripped out of his head and his head falls. Fucking amazing, because like
that actually made me jump this time.
Yeah, it's like
I don't think I've screamed. I don't think I've screamed so much that in a movie in a very long time than I did during the foot and the eye scene. Like, not just like your average, like, like it was a legitimate high pitched scream.
Primal.
Yeah.
I saw it coming, and so I saw the nail through the foot. That doesn't bother me. I know that it like leads you up, and then so mind you, we're watching this movie with our daughter Noelle. So
who's old enough? Like she's not like 5 years old.
Yes.
Like,
so we already, like when we first saw this, I was like, she's not old enough to see this. And now that she's older now, and she's seen other things, she's watched Outlander and all these other things. I'm like, this is fine, like not a big deal. So she's watching this with us, and I'm like, I'm curious to see how uncomfortable she is watching this one with her parents, and then while also this being a horror movie with what it entails. And when they were doing the nail scene, she's like, why wouldn't he have seen that? And I was just like, dude, we see that, he can't, the lighting is not proper. And so she's like, and she's just like, oh my god. So then when he goes looks through the hole and he gets stabbed, I cover my eyes thinking that it's over, and then I'm like, oh, we're good, and then the next thing I know, we're not fucking good, and I'm like jumping, and I'm jumping, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I don't like this stuff. Like, RJ getting stabbed in the neck 1,000,000 times, and the way he dies is fucking beautiful, because we watched it with closed captioning, and when she walks up to him in that scene in front of the van, it says, and she goes to like hug him and kind of touch him like oddly,
kisses him,
it says old lady moaning or something like that on the closed captioning, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And so then she like fucking offs him in like this beautiful grotesque way. I love when you see like slasher movies when they do something different, and they don't pan from that shit. They're just like on it nonstop while the song Fear the Fucking Reaper is playing, and I'm like, this is badass. So like, I love this. But back to Wayne, is that his name, dying? Yeah. So I wrote this down earlier in the movie because I did not pick this up until the second time. He says, when they're talking about making these movies, their titillation films, he says their eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this, and that's how the motherfucker dies. Yeah. So I was like, they are kind of like foreshadowing, I guess.
Oh yeah,
but not like it wasn't obvious foreshadowing.
Yeah, it wasn't like what's his name? Tasha's
Tasha? Favorite.
Tasha,
I know where we're going with it. His name's Mike Flanagan. Good old Mike Flanagan.
See, like if Mike Flanagan directed this, he would have walked into the bar and it would have been like, he's gonna step on a nail and get his eyes gouged out, and it'd show us like 100,000 times before it happened.
Yeah,
that's my opinion on it. That's
true.
All I'm saying.
That's true.
But they showed the nail, like you knew what was going to happen.
Yes, and like
he's walking slowly up to it.
There are very few scenes in movies that hold like that one does, where you know what's going to happen, and it's just
you don't want it to.
He just keeps walking, really? And it does not cut away. And he just steps right down on this fucking nail. And I love how like he's like, God damn it, RJ, I'm going to get tetanus from this thing.
And then I can't remember, he grabbed something, either a flashlight or I remember him grabbing for something, because at that point I just screamed, he's gonna pry it off. Like, that entire scene of don't do it. And then he does it. And then the act of ripping it out, that entire thing, like I'm sweating thinking about it. Like, I don't walk around the house barefoot. I don't go outside barefoot. I have a phobia of things like this happening. And then it happened, and
I'm gonna write that down.
God.
Phobia of foot stuff. Gonna look up stuff for films to put that in.
Yeah,
like that's so, like I'm always looking down, making sure I don't step on something, and then just he's walking in that barn barefoot.
In his underwear.
So many things.
I really wanted him to wear his cowboy hat during that scene, though. Just the underwear and cowboy hat. That was great.
Yes.
But, okay, so we've talked a lot about RJ's death. We talked a lot about Wayne's death.
Can we talk about it for just a second more, though? RJ's death?
Okay, go ahead.
That stab.
Yeah.
That initial stab, that is another part of those like jump scares. That's what I would consider a jump scare, where it's abrupt and it's effortlessly done with so much intensity. So it's just a stab, but then you know that there's no surviving that. Like just a quick stab to the throat, a quick stab to like the femoral artery. That gets me every time.
Yeah. And like the way that it works, to me, it doesn't hit as a jump scare, but it very well could be. I'm not.
It's
the
just so
judge.
shocking.
Yeah.
Because I usually think of a jump scare to have like a musical stab to it. It doesn't.
No.
It's just the background of "Don't Fear the Reaper" playing and stuff, and just like him going like, and then falls down, and then she stabs him in the throat so much it decapitates him.
Yeah, it's
It, like,
fucking amazing.
Breaks the spinal cord, or like breaks
and like
his
the blood
spine.
sprays up onto the headlights of the van, which then tints the scene red light. Fucking amazing. Has definitely like a yellow like lighting kind of thing going on.
It's gorgeous. Okay, Tasha, we didn't get your favorite actor in the movie.
Oh,
You're right. My favorite actress was Brittany Snow's character.
she's really good. She's really good.
really
I liked her just because she just exudes confidence.
She does.
Really.
And I feel real bad about her death scene in this because she is just trying to be nice and helpful.
She is.
Because she sees Pearl, like, well, she's looking around. She's like looking for the other people and everything, and she sees Pearl standing out on the pier, and she's
On the
like,
dock.
"Oh, yeah, the dock," and like kind of let's get you back. And Pearl fucking snaps at her, talking about how she's a whore and all this stuff. Ends up slapping her in the face, and she's just like, it's just Pearl's just so mad, that she's old and they're young, and it's not fair. Like she even says later on in the film, it's like, it'll all be taken away from you. Like it's like, you know, like, you stupid whore, it'll be all this stuff. And then she ends up pushing what's her name, the character name, Bobby Lynn, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby Lynn. She ends up pushing Bobby Lynn into the fucking pond, and fucking Gator that you see earlier grabs her ass and fucking death rolls till she is like, and it's a long scene too. Like it's not just like a brum brum. It's a long scene to the point like she's just standing there watching as her husband Howard comes and walks in, and it's just like, okay, that one's done. I've got the one in the locked up in the basement for you. Yep. And she's like, that's not the one I want. There's the other one that there's something special about her, which the first time that this is mentioned in the film, when Wayne talks to Maxine and says, you got that X factor. I literally was like, they said the name of the movie.
Well, the scene on the dock is like, he's talking to her and she's like, I don't like blondes. And so she's like, she fucking hates blondes. And like, and then the other thing I really liked about, is her real name Brittany? Is that what you guys said her real name is? Okay. Her
Brittany
character.
Snow.
Yeah, Brittany Snow. What I liked about her character is that like she fits that era really well. The smoking, the sex appeal, the hair. And then she has the tan lines. Like they went to the depths of like giving her legitimate tan lines in this. And I was like, so when she's laying on the bed and she's like half naked, you can see them. And I was like, it's those little things in this movie that make it fit into the era and the time frame so well that you feel like you're transported regardless of when this movie was made. So I really respect that, and I just love that about this movie, down to the little bits and pieces.
Yeah. The jump scare that I like in this movie that doesn't scare me. For me it's a jump laugh. It makes me laugh at how abrupt it happens, is Jenna Ortega's death. Yeah. When her and Maxine are screaming at each other, like Maxine gets her out of the cellar and stuff, and she's like, I hate you, this is all your fault, blah, blah, blah. And she goes running out of the house. She steps out onto that fucking front porch, and Howard blows her head off with a shotgun instantly.
Yeah.
It's so shockingly quick that like my reaction to that stuff, it's like some people have, it's like the reason you laugh when you tickle. It's a stress release. I saw that. I always just go like, oh.
Yeah.
Same
like,
here.
Well, Howard blows away two people with his shotgun that he said isn't loaded in the beginning of the movie, right? So that was funny in itself, but he
kills Kid Cudi, and that's super sad too, because Kid Cudi's just Jackson's just trying to help Howard, and he finds that VW bug like dipped in and everything. He's like, I can't find your old lady, and like literally just walks up and Howard just smokes his ass. Yeah, and he's talking about how guys like him, which is talking about his skin color and stuff, have come around here and he doesn't like them. And I was just like, fucking racist. But anyway, racist.
Yeah. So, but he smokes 2 people with his gun that wasn't supposed to be loaded. But the Jenna Ortega scene, though, we watched this in the after part 2, talking about how her hand, so she starts hammering to get out the door of the basement. I couldn't watch this scene either, but then I end up having to be forced to watch it again in the fucking credit area that we watched. But he smashes the fuck out of her hand, and as she's trying to unlock the door to get out. And I mean, that scene is just so tense and so grotesque, but like they don't shy away from this film and being bloody and gory and very visceral and like in your face, realistic. It almost feels like, because of how much they don't, because a lot of movies like this, they'll show you and then they pan away and then you see the aftermath. This one is like you're following it through scene. So like you're getting that feel of what they're going through.
You watch her hand get broken and to the point with the butt of that shotgun, to the point where you see a compound fracture in her hand as the bones from her fingers are sticking out of the knuckle. And it's so and like, again, Jenna Ortega screaming like fucking like the best, like her fucking terror scream. Like there are very few times that like someone scream is that good, in my opinion. She fucking has that shit in spades.
Yeah. She has a really good innocence of herself in this film. Like she's going in just following her boyfriend to help with sound of this porn being made.
Yeah, church mouse.
Yeah. And she has,
and
then
fits
like
that perfectly.
She does. And then like in the scene where she wants to now do the sex stuff with Jackson, they don't show it. And like they give you the illusion of they're starting it, but they don't go to that level. So it fits into her character's like perspective of like being very like the church mouse is what Wayne calls her or whatever. But yeah, I like that because it stays on par with the character. She doesn't turn into like this sexy porn star all of a sudden. Like it fits really well. And then after that, her boyfriend is in the shower after they like go to bed that night, and he's just sobbing and breaking down and having an emotional thing where his girlfriend went and slept with another man, and literally he was watching it, and you can just feel his anguish in that scene. And like the guy who plays RJ is actually an exceptionally good actor. He's very nerdy looking, and he's like very underplayed. I think
his name's Owen Campbell.
Owen Campbell. Well, Owen Campbell, you're a great actor, because that was a really good scene. And then
and like that's another one. Oh.
No,
that's another one where the shower scene, where the camera is a really good indicator of emotion in that too, how they pan up. So then you just see him in this really small confined space as he's curled over. So you just see his back, like as he's sobbing in the shower.
When that camera drops down to him and he's sobbing, this is the little look behind the curtain and stuff. Like I have depression and anxiety and all that bullshit and medicated fun times. Anyway, the most relatable scene in this movie is what for me is when he is sobbing and he gets to that point where he just shuts it down, and like you can see that he's just like trying to disassociate from it, and he's just like staring forward. It's like, all right, I'm done crying. And when that fucking scene hits, it's just like, oh God, I know that so hard when that happens, because it's just like you're literally like just overcome with emotion, and then you just shut it off, and he's just staring ahead, and then he goes on with the movie. And yeah, that's some relatable fine acting.
Yeah.
The relatable part for me was like that idea of the walls are closing in on you, where you're just surrounded by that shower curtain, and it wouldn't have hit the same if it was just like on his face or whatever, but coming up from above, seeing how close quarters he's in was really like, it resonated.
Yeah. Well, and then the other overtop scene, which is kind of funny, but also kind of uncomfortable, is when after we have old lady Pearl in bed with our Maxine character, which that whole entire scene is exceptionally uncomfortable.
Yes, it
is. You have to realize, like, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, it's the same girl in the bed with each other. It's the same girl. It's the same actress. It's not another person.
I didn't know
it's the same actress. So I was like, I didn't know that till after I watched it the first time either, Tasha, so it's okay. And I was like, this is gross. This old lady feeling up on this young lady. Like, this is nasty. So, like, I'm feeling very uncomfortable. But then after she gets up and she runs out, which is a very funny moment, and then Brittany Snow's character gets offed and all this stuff, we come back to the house, and they're looking for our X Factor girl, Maxine. And they start doing it on Maxine's bed, these old people. And
Another beautifully shot above
It
scene of
is.
Howard's ass.
Yeah, but it is.
I didn't need that one.
Yeah, but it was so like there was something about it because the way it panned above and then it pans underneath and then you see fucking Maxine under the bed while they're doing it, and I completely
God damn.
forgot. I was like, this poor girl. And then it pans up again at some point, and then you see her legs or part of her body hanging out from underneath the bed. I was like, this is fucking
And
great.
she just army crawls
That's
out of
just
the
great.
Yeah, I was like, this is fucking brilliant. So,
Yep.
like, it was really well made in that sense. Even though I know it's intentionally to make you uncomfortable, but it is just highly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There are a couple of times, even at the beginning, when Maxine goes into the house, like just those subtle things of you want some lemonade, and then going over and how she just like pokes her in the side. That's like that right there started it for me. Just like
It definitely
not having any care of boundaries.
it just sets
I'm
in
so
that it
with
sits
you.
in that thing of that emotion of just you don't feel safe, like and not like in violence, just uncomfortable, like and by violence I mean like murder, but like there's like always this sexual violence there, like even from that point where she's just like touching her skin and stuff. It's that whole idea of, why are you touching me?
Right.
Did I give you the okay flag to touch me? Did I give you the consent? And like there's as far as I can remember, there's no rape scenes in this film or anything like that. There's alluded to possibly where the guy is downstairs chained up dead with
Yeah, but they don't say
dick-
anything. Yeah.
his dick and balls and like whole groin area is just bruised and battered, so it's kind of shadowed that it is, but like you don't get that in this, but like it definitely rides that line, especially like when RJ gets fucking killed. She's basically mounted him like and like is kind of gyrating, grinding on him, and like
a crime of passion, almost like it was like
it
very
kind of looks
weird.
like she gets off while doing it and everything, and
that's what I thought the movie was going to end up being about, which took me out of it a little bit. So I'm glad it didn't continue on that path.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Howard, our husband of the year, ends up dying of a heart attack after trying to pull. Like how does he exactly die of the heart attack? Something spooks
So
him.
he's pulling in Jenna Ortega's character
That's right,
because
pulling
they
her
want
in.
to stage it as self-defense. Like, well, if she's in the house, then we can say self-defense is how she died.
That's right.
Yeah,
She gurgles or
has
something, and
Oh my God, yes.
she gurgles
that
a
was
bit, which gives
disgusting.
him a heart attack. He
Yeah.
dies. So then Pearl's like, help him, his heart doesn't work. After they've killed like all of Maxine's
All of her
friends,
friends.
Maxine goes to fucking shoot Pearl. It doesn't work with the handgun because it's not loaded, because fucking what's his nuts? Wayne already says like at the beginning of the movie that he keeps a gun in the glove compartment that's not loaded, it's just for fear and stuff like that. So that doesn't work. But then fucking Pearl at this time, this makes me fucking laugh so hard too.
Yeah.
As the shotgun goes to shoot Maxine, blows herself out the fucking front door and breaks her
hip.
fucking hip.
My hip.
And at this point, you actually get Pearl's one, like when she's laying there, broken hip in the driveway, you get the 100% rage of her unleashing on Maxine of, you're just a whore, it'll all be taken away from you and all this stuff. There's something that we haven't even touched on that we'll talk about a little bit, but like, so Maxine gets in the truck, she backs that fucking truck over Pearl's head, crushes her fucking head, and drives off. Now, one thing though that we haven't even talked about is the entirety through this film, on the radio, on the television series, or the television, you keep getting this evangelist,
Evangelical.
as an evangelist, an evangelical Christian, fire and brimstone about how the morals of America are lost and the sleaze of the film industry and all this stuff. And as it's going on and stuff, you just keep getting this thing of like Maxine saying, I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And as like, it's like this empowering thing. As the film goes on, and everything, you keep getting this like dichotomy of like Christian, like far right Christian evangelical values, but then also the freedom of youth and sexuality and stuff, and like how they are kind of pulling apart from each other and always at war with each other. And you find out that Maxine's father right there at the end is the pastor, and he's talking about, like, in this sermon or whatever it is exactly, he literally brings up a photo of her at the very end of the film that the sleazy industry of Hollywood has pulled my daughter away from us and all this stuff, as she's driving off into the sunset, snorting coke in a stolen truck, going
with her blue eyeshadow. That's a theme through this whole fucking movie. Her blue eyeshadow. It's never ending. That was
she has it. Pearl puts it on.
Yep.
And it makes me wonder. So it popped into my head with that being on, because there were these like anti-sex undertones. Mm-hmm. Why were they watching it in Pearl and Howard's house, if it's supposedly, it sounds weird, but like sex positive?
He just turns on the TV to blare out the sound of Jenna Ortega's character screaming downstairs. He's not watching it. He just turns it on and cranks the volume.
No.
Correct.
Okay.
It's always just in the background, because also when they're driving to the farm and stuff, they're flipping through radio stations. And you just keep hearing snippets of it, or it's on it's on the TV at the gas station.
Yep, I caught that
stuff like that. It's just always, and it definitely is one of those things. Like back in the day, there's only so many channels, and this is Texas, and it's a very Christian. Like this is like right before the satanic panic and the Reagan era of everything is bad, Christian morals, like if you like it, it's bad. And so, it definitely, that's something
that gives you pleasure. It's bad. Yeah.
Correct. It's sins of the flesh, like that whole idea. But they don't, like, it's just there, the backdrop the whole time. And it just, I think that's beautifully done. I fucking love that so much in this movie.
Well, this movie, like they said, like in our 1-star review, was like they're artsy and they call it wannabe artsy, but it's not wannabe. It hits on exactly what it wants to achieve in a very beautiful, well shot, made way. There were certain scenes I was saying, like there's a sweeping shot of like the field and some other things that linger a little bit longer. And normally when I'm watching movies, I'd be like, this is too long. It fits. Like anything that's slow is intentional and it fits. It's not like it's taking too long. Like there's very few times I watch a movie that's a horror movie that has moments like that where I'm just not like, can we get on with this?
Yeah, because like this isn't my opinion. This is your opinion. Because like to give you like the like what you're talking about, you like that in X, but the helicopter scenes in the Thing you don't like.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
There's a perfect like explanation of like in X, it's like done in a way that is appealing to you, and then in the Thing, you're just like, this could have been cut out.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think so, but for your taste.
Yeah,
it's like where it's placed or how it's intended. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it also has to fit with the theme and the way the movie is shot. And like with this movie, it feels like it works. And with the Thing, I feel like it's like we're wanting action. That's what this movie usually is. It's just a hot mess of a bunch of people running around doing crazy stuff. This movie isn't like that.
Yeah.
What year was the Thing? What year was the Thing made?
82.
Okay, so I think that goes back to where this is a modern film with the guise of being in the 70s, shot as if it's the 70s. Yeah. It still has those modern touches of timing that they might not have done in the early 80s and 70s.
I mean, because if you want to go to the 70s and watch horror films, we can rewatch The Exorcist.
No.
I don't want to. No. So it's like taking all of the good of a 70s movie and making it better.
Yeah,
it's tightening it up. Yeah.
Right.
But like, and I'm not going to go on forever, but I do like for the Thing and stuff like that. I think
it's a really good way to like do a comparison.
It shows for me, like in the Thing, it shows the desolation, like, or the fact that there's nothing around you, and just like that's what it works for me. But if it doesn't work for you, that's fine as well. But like I do find that to be a very good comparison of like your tastes, in the sense where X does it in a way that you're just like, it fucking works, it matters, it sets up the Thing, and then in the Thing, it just doesn't work for you.
I think it's just tonnage. I think that's what it ends up being. The tone of the film and how they're building the storyline is definitely part of that.
Yep.
And the music going along with those
Correct.
long drawn out scenes in X.
It also, I love
builds that tension.
I love like right at the beginning, like after the first 10 minutes or so, when it shows you what year it is, and it's 1979 and it's stars and stripes and it feels like fucking 1979. Like I love that.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that, like, because when our daughter watched it, this was a crazy conversation I had. So she seemed kind of like, I can't believe what I just watched after we finished this movie. So like she wasn't the most thrilled about it, it seemed. But what's weird is that I was in the car with my daughter Maya, who is 15, and her best friend has seen this movie, and it's his favorite horror movie. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, well, have you seen it? And she's like, no. I'm like, I think she would like it. I think it's
his name is DJ. So DJ, if you're listening, I heard that you actually like what we're doing. You want to kind of keep up on it. So DJ, how is it going?
Yeah. So the X movie is it isn't for everybody. I think you have to have an understanding of the depth that it offers, because if you are looking for, like we had just said, the popcorn movie stance, you're not getting that with this. Like, it is definitely a lot deeper of a film, and it is something that's going to make you, I don't think I've watched this movie either time and not been highly uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
it's definitely one that you want to go into knowing you're going to be uncomfortable throughout the entirety of it.
This is not a movie that you're like, the sex stuff and everything aside, this is not a movie that's going to be played stylistically on TNT on a Sunday afternoon. This is not, I don't know if like mom and stuff would really get into this, because this is not derogatory, but it's the whole idea of like the popcorn film kind of stuff. This is for people that want to sit and watch a horror movie that have a history with horror films in some sense, that like they don't want the cookie cutter, they don't want, so like I think it rewards the watcher for that. And it also, like Steph said previously, it rewards multiple viewing, because once the shock is gone, then you actually get to dig deeper into the inner workings and underlying tones and overarching like narratives of things, because you already know that the nail scene's coming up and you know the alligator's going to do this and everything, but it lets you appreciate it in a separate way that I think not a lot of films that are slashers do that, because this is at its core.
Scream does that. Scream does that.
Okay, you could literally put like 3 or 4 films on a Mount Rushmore of it. It's like, to me, it's like X, Scream, the original Halloween, and then maybe, let me think here, I don't know, like maybe the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's about it, like realistically, because most of the slashers are just like
Is Trick or Treat a slasher?
It's whatever you want it to be, baby.
It's so many things. It's all the things.
It's technically it's an anthology film. It has slasher elements. It has all sorts of different.
I was gonna say, because like if that's a slasher film, then considered that, then yeah, that movie should be up there too. Just because I love it so much, but you know. Unless
you girls have anything else to say, we can go into our reviews.
Yeah,
good. Personal reviews. All right.
Yeah, all right, I think we've covered it.
I'll make mine short and sweet. I love this movie. It's very, very good. I don't believe, for my tastes, I don't believe it's Ty West's best film of his that I have seen, because I am a very big fan of House of the Devil. Okay. Which is
I've never seen that.
Which is another one of his movies that is definitely like a love letter to 70s horror. It has like a Rosemary's Baby and all that kind of stuff going on. It's very occultish. It's way more supernatural and stuff than this. This is like a slasher. That's like his it was made in 2009, so it's a more recent film in some aspects, but it's a love letter to like 70s occult horror films, and that one is really, really, really good. Anyway, that being said, this comes in second. I'm very excited to see Pearl for the podcast and stuff. That's
going to be exciting.
I've actually heard nothing about the movie, but I've heard like if you like X, Pearl is better. So
shit. Okay.
That's all I know about it.
I'm excited to see the backstory, because like you don't know, her demise, you don't know her backstory, and correct. I think that's going to be amazing.
And the setting in the 20s is going to be cool too.
Yeah.
Very.
So that being said, I am giving Ty West's movie X a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
So I
That's fair.
I give the floor to you, sleazy ladies.
Okay, Tasha, go for it.
Okay, so as you know, I usually like to just be plopped in a setting and just see what happens, and then beginning and end, and I'm good and I'm content. There aren't very many movies in this genre that I want to watch over and over again. This is one that I do. I'm excited to watch it again for the reasons like you guys mentioned, picking up on all of the other nuances, picking up on maybe more of the relational components of it, which is something that doesn't usually pull me back. So that's the big, it's definitely rewatchable. I like being uncomfortable watching horror movies. It's obviously not something that you want to watch every time you're putting on a horror movie, but knowing what I was going into with this one, it hit all of the boxes. It did all of the things that I wanted it to do. The voyeuristic component was just yet another way to convey uncomfortableness.
Mm-hmm. You're always getting watched.
Right. There's always something. There are so many different components to this movie that make it unsettling. The kitchen with the flies and the dirty food, just the way that the old people are conveyed, the desolation out in the middle of nowhere, it's constantly making you unsettled. So I'm actually going to give it an 8. I want to watch it again. And I want to watch it again soon. It's very, very good.
Awesome.
Just to sum it all up, it's really good.
That is a ringing score. I can't think of too many films that you've actually thrown up like that high. That's really cool.
Especially like an A24 movie. Because I think what we did, The Witch, that was one that was good, but definitely this is in its own category.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Real quick. Maybe if we can swing it and stuff, we'll get Pearl in before Maxine comes out. We can all collectively go see Maxine together.
Oh, I like that idea.
That'd be cool. So,
yeah.
All right, Steph, what do you got?
Okay, so I think this movie is brilliant. And I'm a plot slut, and I need to know the whys and the hows, and it needs to make sense. And every single part of this makes sense. I don't go through this movie nitpicking it and being like, that doesn't make sense. I can't think of a single thing in this that makes me go, that doesn't work. We shouldn't do this. Every single aspect makes sense to me. And that just attests to the detail and the character-driven plot that is in this movie. And just all the little bits and pieces, from somebody drinking milk from the refrigerator to, like Tasha said, with the flies in the sink, and the husband going to get groceries, and it is a very uncomfortable film. I can definitely tell where this wouldn't be for everybody. If you are not into this type of film, I get that. But I already wrote down my score yesterday, and Tasha and I are just hitting on the same fucking level every single week lately. So, I was going to give this an 8. I think this movie is so good. And I'm excited to see the next one.
Also, even down to one more thing. You mentioned the milk carton. The face on the milk carton, I think, is the guy that's in the basement.
Downstairs, yeah.
So just so many little details.
Yeah.
I believe that comes out to a 23 out of 30.
It gives us a 77%.
Okay.
That's high.
So 77 hits Hall of Fame status on our board. You are going to like this film. If you like horror films, you are going to like this film. I would actually be surprised if you didn't like this film. So.
Yeah,
if you're coming from a plot standpoint, it's there. If you're coming from a feeling standpoint, it's there. If you're coming from gore, it's there.
Yep.
All right, yeah. So that's a resounding Hall of Fame for X by Ty West.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Producer Satan here, letting you know that on Thursday, after this episode airs, there will be an extra special Gaten episode where Nicholas interviews Robin from Creator VC, creators of In Search of Darkness 1, 2, and 3, about his new endeavor working on a new expansive documentary on The Thing. So keep your ear open, your eyes open? I don't know. Fuck this, I'm going back to hell. See ya.
We only only had a few films that have gone up this high. I think Scream was another slasher we rated really high. I'm going to make a doc here really soon so I can kind of go back and review everything that we have watched and see where we are in terms of our ratings. We can talk about a little bit more.
I've got a notebook over here with a lot of our stuff, but I'm not going to leaf through it for this.
Yeah.
So
I think it's our highest new movie, or a movie
100%.
that doesn't have the nostalgia factor to it.
Yeah.
True.
Like that's actually like really, I am literally surprised that you gave it an 8. Like no shit. Like
dude, I loved it.
Good.
Did Drew like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had actually seen it before.
Oh,
so
really?
it was his second viewing.
Did Wyatt like it? No?
Not applicable.
Not
Watch it.
Not a grade school horror film. Oh,
no, it's not for third graders. We'll just throw that out there. Not for
this
children.
Literally, I made sure that we watched this before Sid and Wes were here because Wesley would have wanted to watch. Like he loves watching our films with us.
Yeah.
And I was like,
this is not one of them.
We cannot have a 10-year-old boy watching this film.
No. Our older teenagers, totally fine. Our young, no.
Yeah.
No.
Like Sydney's on that cusp.
Maybe.
Like, she's getting there. But even then, like if she came down and was like, hey, I watched X, that movie was crazy, I'd be like, oh yeah, that movie's crazy. I wouldn't have let you watch it, but I'm not gonna be mad at mad at you either. Like
I don't want to talk to you about it.
You got good taste in horror, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But hey, it's movie club. I'm gonna have to make a song that's just like a like bat signal,
of you singing.
Movie club,
That's
club.
what I picture. Yeah, it's just like you and an acoustic.
Yeah.
Just like giving it that like lounge singer.
Tambourine.
Yeah.
Tambourine. Yeah.
Ooh, baby, it's movie club. Okay, so I fucked up a little bit on our recording and when it's released and all that stuff. So
because of our foreign film thing.
Foreign film February starts. So this actually comes out on our episode recording comes out the first Monday of February.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I thought you were going to say it was going to come out in March.
No.
Panicky.
We're only like a week. We record, and then so we usually record on Sundays usually. So we'll just say that we record on Sunday. Our episodes come out on Monday, but it's the following, not the next day, but a week later is when the episode comes out. So I didn't pay attention to that. So sorry if you've been sorry if you've been waiting for Foreign Film February. It starts on the next episode. So Steph will be excited because that means I'm actually going to drop one of the films out.
Oh, yes.
But
technically this movie was shot in New Zealand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give it a little
It's adjacent.
Yeah,
sure.
It works.
So we are going to be watching the Japanese horror film Pulse. So Pulse is a Kiyoshi Kurosawa film. Came out in 2001.
It's older.
This movie, if I remember correctly, predates Ring and The Grudge and stuff like that. Like this is
a couple years.
Yeah. So there is an American remake that came out in 2006. We are not watching that one. We are going to watch the 2001 Japanese release. It is on Peacock and some other streaming services, but I've already got it. I believe it's on, let's see here, Pluto TV, Peacock. I believe it's on Tubi. So this should be,
as long as they stay there.
This should be readily available. I suggest personally, and I hope it works this way because I haven't watched it on the streaming services, and I hope it is this way. I suggest watching it. It's original dialogue with subtitles, not dubbed. I'm going to suggest that for every foreign film that we do because the original actors, their voices are going to convey the emotion and stuff in these films better than just an overdub. So there are some movies that have decent overdubs, but they're never as good as the original voice acting. But watch it however you want. For the podcast, we're definitely going to, if the streaming services have the option somehow, that's how I want to watch it.
Okay.
But yes, we're going to watch Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Pulse from 2001.
Okay. And then if you want to pop on over to our Instagram and our Facebook, we have a weekly question that you can dive into today. As you're listening.
Yeah, do you have that question for us, Tasha? What's the question we want to ask?
We're not doing that. They're gonna go over and then we're gonna talk about it on our next episode.
Oh, okay. I thought we were voicing it here. I guess I don't know what's going on anymore.
No.
I have lost control of my life and this podcast.
Yes.
So, all right. For Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.